Hello, voices. Welcome back to another episode of the In My Voice podcast. My name is Bwana Harry. I'm your host, and I'm always excited to be back here with you. I am super excited and charged for 2025. Happy New Year, my people. I hope you're doing well, and if not, I pray that you get better. And what better way to start the year than by talking about something that hits close to home for most of us? Giving. But not just the warm, fuzzy kind of giving. The kind that leaves us feeling drained, stretched thin, and wondering, why always me? This is the first episode of the year, and we are kicking things off with a powerful topic. Limits of giving. Understanding the savior complex. Whether you are the friend who can't say no, the family member who everyone turns to, or the one who gives so much you forget to take care of yourself, this episode is for you.
Have you ever wanted to read a letter that was meant for someone else? Have you ever wanted to travel the world but didn't have the time or the money? If so, you are in the right place. Welcome to In My Voice, the podcast where we read letters and share travel stories about places by our guests. I am your host, Bwana Harry, and each week I'll guide you through these two different yet fascinating worlds. In the first segment, we'll read letters written to listeners like you about a variety of subjects, from heartwarming stories to heartbreaking experiences. These letters offer a unique perspective on the human experience. Some of them will make you laugh, while the others will bring a tear to your eye. But they all have one thing in common. They are written from the heart. In the second segment, we will embark on a journey to explore the world through travel stories. We'll visit exotic destinations, meet interesting people, and experience the joys and challenges of traveling. Whether you are a seasoned traveler or someone who's always dreamed of seeing the world, you will find something to inspire you in these stories. So, join me every week as we dive into these two fascinating worlds. In My Voice. I promise you won't be disappointed. Subscribe now and don't miss an episode.
Today we are diving deep into what it means to give. To really give. You know, the way we stretch ourselves thin, offering time, money, emotional support, and more. It's something we do out of love, out of care, and sometimes out of deep-rooted need to feel needed. I came across this quote and it triggered me. Givers need to set limits because takers don't have any. Think about that for a second. How many times have you felt like you are the only one giving in a relationship or a friendship? How many times have you felt exhausted, depleted, but still couldn't bring yourselves to stop? Today, we are tackling the savior complex, the drive to always save everyone else, often at the expense of ourselves. To make this episode even more special, I asked some of you to share your experience on my WhatsApp status. And one of my friends and very ardent listeners of the In My Voice podcast, Diana, shared a story that I think so many of us will relate to. But before we dive into her experience, let me share something personal. I am both a victim and a beneficiary of the savior complex. I've been on both ends of it, receiving help without asking for it and giving help even when I didn't have enough for myself. Let me give you an example. I know at least two friends, and today I'm going to call them my rocks, who have shown up for me without even needing to ask. These are the friends who notice the silent struggles, the unspoken battles, and step in to help. I know we all have some of these. One time I was going through such a difficult patch in my life. I hadn't told anyone about it because, well, I thought I could handle it on my own. But these friends came through for me. They saw me, they saw the pain. They could notice that there is a change in how I acted, in how I spoke, and how I showed up for things. They came through. I didn't ask. Sometimes people can come through for you. Could be financial help, emotional support, or just being there for you. But on the flip side, I've been the person who can't say no. I've given money, time, emotional support, and everything in between. I've borrowed money to help someone else when I barely had enough for myself. I've answered calls at 2 a.m., spent hours listening to someone vent. And I did it willingly, even happily, and I don't regret it. But here's the thing. When I hit my lowest point, no one knew. No one was there for me in the same way because I didn't let them. I didn't share. I didn't ask. Do I blame my friends that didn't come through for me? No, because I didn't share. I didn't ask. And very many of us have gone through this experience. So, I get it. The savior complex isn't just about helping others. It's about the complicated emotions and expectations we attach to giving. And sometimes, it's about the frustration and burnout that comes with always being the one who gives and rarely receives. Let's break it down. The savior complex is the innate need to always help others, even when it's not your responsibility. It's not just about generosity. It's about feeling like you have to step in, like you have to fix everything. Like it's your job to fix people and fix what's not going right in their lives. Some of the signs of savior complex include you feel responsible for solving other people's problems. You often offer help even when no one asks for it. Most times you neglect your own needs while prioritizing others. And you feel guilty when you can't help or when you say no. I know I'm speaking to someone there. When someone tells you their problem and they need some help and you can't, you feel guilty when you are unable to help. So be cautious of these 4 signs. Psychologically, this can stem from a need to feel valued, to feel like you are making a difference. It's often linked to our upbringing or past experiences. Maybe we grew up in environments where we were praised for being helpful. Or maybe we learned to associate our worth with how much we could give. But here's the catch. Constantly giving without limits is not sustainable. A study I came across showed that people who constantly put others' needs ahead of their own are more likely to experience burnout, anxiety, and even depression. You can't pour from an empty cup. And yet so many of us keep trying. Let's hear from Diana. She describes herself as a one-stop center. Someone everyone turns to for help, whether it's financial, emotional, or spiritual. And she gave and gave and gave, even when it left her drained.
I've been triggered by this, your post. This has happened to me like for my entire lifetime. And I'm one person, like people, even when I don't have, people will always think I have. They will always think I have something to offer, whether it is a piece of advice, whether it is financial need, spiritual, physical, moral, emotional. You find everyone is coming to you. Generally, you're like a one-stop center. Then also one thing I'm struggling with, you find like every time I have maybe, let's say, finances, they're always going out. This one has this problem, this one has that problem. And I remember I would literally be having, data advances. Because this one has asked for a financial rescue, the other A, B, C, up to Z. So by the time the salary comes, it is already split to whom it is going to. A wants this amount, B, Z, Y. So you find like at the end of the day, you're dishing out money. Even when you yourself, you don't have anything tangible on ground. But there is that need to rescue someone, that need to save somebody, that need to give. And then one thing, I said, no, I'm going to like refrain from all this thing of giving, and because maybe one day I will end up with nothing. Then the moment I don't give, there is a way like certain doors don't open, And the moment I give, there is a way things shift. But here when I don't give, they get so stagnated, they get so, I don't know. Then another thing about me, I used to struggle with seeking for help, especially financial. One time I sat down with myself, like doing a self-introspection. I'm like, but I'm always giving out money. Why is it that me, when I have a financial need, I'm always afraid to air it or to say it? Why not? But now, I'm trying to set a limit to this whole thing of giving. I used to give what I don't have. For example, someone asks for money. If I don't have it, I have to borrow to help that person. But as time went on, I've learned things the hard way. I think the whole of last year, and I think a bit of this year, I learned I'm not a Jesus, I'm not a God to save everyone, so I should have limits.
What stood out to me most from Diana's story is she used to give even when she didn't have enough herself. She would borrow money to help others, allocate her entire salary to other people's needs, and neglect her own. But what really hit me was when she said, I am not Jesus. I am not God. I can't save everyone. That realization was her turning point. Diana also touched on something so many of us feel but don't talk about: the guilt of saying no. She noticed that when she stopped giving, she felt like things in her life stagnated. And yet, when she gave, things shifted. It's such a complex emotional tug-of-war, and I know so many of us can relate. And even in our churches and mosques, they are teaching us to always give and, help people who need help. But at some point, you need to pause and ask yourself, how much more can I give before I lose myself? Diana's story reminded me of how this savior complex shows up in different areas of our lives. In friendships, family, and even romantic relationships. In friendships, maybe you're the friend who always plans the hangouts, always checks in, always supports, even when no one reciprocates. You feel like if you stop, the friendship might disappear. And when it comes to family, perhaps you're the one everyone turns to for advice or financial help. You're the strong one. And while it's a role you're proud of, it's also so exhausting. And in romantic relationships, maybe you're the one constantly fixing things, making compromises, and ensuring everything runs smoothly. Over time, it feels less like a partnership and more like a one-sided effort. And here's the kicker. Sometimes people don't even ask for your help, but you step in anyway. Maybe a friend shares a problem, and you immediately start brainstorming solutions instead of just listening. Or a family member struggles, and you sacrifice your own needs to make things easier for them. But here's the question. Are we really helping? Or are we just feeding our need to feel needed? So, what can we do? How do we strike a balance between giving and protecting our own well-being? Here are 3 tips I'm going to share. First, learn to say no. It's okay to say no when you are not in position to help. Practice saying no, kindly but firmly. Second, ask before you act. Before jumping in to help, ask if your help is actually needed. Sometimes people just want someone to listen, not to solve their problems. And third, set boundaries. Decide what you are comfortable giving and stick to it. Remember, you can't give what you do not have. Be it money, be it emotional support. You need to be in a place to give that for you to be able to give. So, here's the takeaway. Giving is beautiful. It's one of the most human things we can do. But it's also okay to take a step back, to set limits, to take care of yourself first. Because at the end of the day, you can't save everyone. and that is okay. Thank you for tuning in, and a special thanks to you, my friend Diana, for sharing your story. If you have your own experiences or thoughts on this topic or any other topic, I would love to hear them. Drop a message and who knows, you might just inspire the next episode. If this episode resonates with you, feel free to share it with your friends and someone you think maybe would need to listen to it. Remember to subscribe, like, comment, and share. It helps the channel grow and makes me able to be here every other time to share these thoughts with you. Until next time, remember, you can't pour from an empty cup, but you can always refill it. Take care of yourself, my friends. Happy 2025.